Now the first thing you're going to notice is that obviously it's been sped up. I don't usually draw quite that quickly, although I am pretty quick. I actually laid down a couple of guidelines first, just with a watercolour pencil. Of course then I changed my mind, but at least it gives you a bit of an idea of size and proportion on the page. I just tried to add in another one there at the back, just to sort of link them together a little bit and create a bit of interest, and just to give the general shapes. So I sort of have just a starting point more than anything. But once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to start laying in some underpainting. Now, I do tend to start a lot with yellow. I do like it if I'm going to be using something like orange, then you need to underpaint with yellow first, because it will just glow through and give it a really nice sort of a depth to the colour. Something that a lot of people, when they're starting out, do. They tend to try and paint it in the finished sort of complexity, if you like, when in actual fact you just want to get a couple of layers down early, and then you can adjust as you go. But I'm pretty much happy with that yellow, so now I'm just getting some orange together, and I'll start laying in a bit of orange, and you'll see it's sort of, it makes it a little bit more alive, the colour. I popped the paper down under my hand because I'm working on Bristol board, and Bristol board, apart from being really unforgiving, is also, it hates any oils or grease that comes off your hands, and it makes the paint not sort of stick to it very well. Like, it's harder to get the paint to take to the paper. So by putting that paper down, I'm protecting it, and you know, I've done it so many times it's not funny, so it's sort of automatic now. I don't even think about it. So again, this is the first layer of paint. I'm just adding in some darker colours. Remember, they will dry a little bit duller, so I try to get a good solid covering, not a wishy-washy covering from the beginning. And I like the idea, I'm just having a bit of a play today with what I'm doing here, and I just wanted the idea of having the background sort of bleeding into the actual picture. So even though it looks a bit messy at this stage, this is kind of how I want it to look. It's, you know, but again, it is an experiment, so at this stage I really wasn't worried if it didn't turn out, but it was fine. And the same, just adding in a little bit of green for a little bit of foliage at the top, and that's pretty much where the first levels, like where that first stage stops. So that first layer is dry, and as you can see, it does look a little bit duller, but as you're building up layers, the colours become a bit richer. I got the idea for the carrots just from a food magazine that I subscribe to. I really like it because it often has really close-up pictures and often interesting angles. And I use cookbooks and magazines a lot, actually. But what I'm doing here is I'm just adding another layer. At this stage, it's just about creating 3 dimensions and sort of having richer colours start to come forward. Like, I don't want it to be really careful yet. I'm just trying to get down the basic lights and darks, create a little bit of depth, and just make sure those colours are starting to get a little bit of sort of depth to them. And working in layers over the entire page really helps that. So I'm just adding in a little bit of, I picked up a little bit of burnt umber just to create those dark edges, and you can see that the 3 dimensions are starting to emerge a little bit. It's not quite where I want it to be, but I can at least see a bit of an idea, and at this stage I can see if there's going to be any huge problems. And again, putting in a little bit more detail up the top. But basically at this stage, all I'm doing is that really early stage of just getting the shapes in place. And in the next video, you'll get to see sort of where I go from there. This is kind of the boring bit though, so that's why it's even speedier. So I'll see you on the next video.